A talented free agent flirted with the Jets throughout the process and then ditched them last second like they were nothing. And he kind of dished them on the way out. We talk about it here on Boy Green Daily. Let's roll.
Zoinks! It is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans.
Field Yates, baby. Field gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show.
Come on, people. Connor Rogers is joining the show. What's up, Connor? But Trevor gosh darn Sycamore, baby, for me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever been.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas.
What's poppin', everybody? Paul Esdin Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video show, also available where we get your podcast in the audio version as well. And I got to be honest, it'd be one thing if a free agent just said, you know what, Jets, I don't want to play for you. Fine, okay, plenty of them don't. See ya. But also to diss the Jets, to spit on the Jet logo. Unbelievable. We'll get into it, but let's welcome in my co-host here on the weekend. It is none other. It's a familiar name, Paul Esdin Sr. A few more silver whiskers than in my beard, but let's bring him in nonetheless. Here on the program, my Hop on Pop, my father. Yeah, what's happening?
Hey now. There may be a few more silver whiskers, a few more IQ points on this side of the camera as well.
I see. Well, I'll leave that to the people to judge, of course. But yeah, so let's get right into it here, Father. And I heard of this because my good old buddy Zach Gelb, he hosts a national radio show for CBS Sports Radio. He DM'd me and said, hey, I just had Shaq Barrett on the show, and he said something interesting about the Jets. And I'm like, oh, do tell. And he gave me the details, and I was like, what a bastard, quite frankly. That was my first reaction. By the way, guys, if you want to check out the full story, it's in the YouTube description down below. So there's an article where you can catch up on class while we're breaking down this story. But I did want to roll some of the footage here. Again, this was defensive lineman Shaq Barrett, who was cut by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, released to the free agent waters, and apparently, according to Shaq, the Jets were all in on him until last second he made a pivot. So let's roll the footage here. This is from the Zach Gelb show on CBS Sports Radio, a national radio show, and Zach gave me the heads up on this, and we'll play a little bit of this clip. Let's roll it.
So my agent was talking to me about potentially going to New York, and it was New York all the way up until maybe I don't remember what day I signed, but it was New York until the day I ended up agreeing to terms with the Dolphins, and they just came out of left field for real. And I love the prospect of going to New York, but Dolphins, they just more established as a team. They more proven at this point, and they got some good guys in the room, like in my pass rush room. So I was looking forward to partnering up with them guys, and no state tax, so that helps out a lot.
Was it the Jets or the Giants when you say New York?
Oh, Jets.
Gotcha. That would have been fun, right? Because you played alongside Tom Brady, or Tom Brady was your quarterback for a few years in Tampa Bay. Now Aaron Rodgers with the Jets. So was it mainly just the state tax, or you just think the Dolphins were a better opportunity for you than the Jets?
Yeah, I just think it was a little bit better of an opportunity, and then.
And there's some more to that clip, but that gives us the gist of what he was talking about. Excuse my Guatemalan, what the hell? The Dolphins are more established, more proven. Okay, we're going to have to get into that, Pop. But first off, on Shaq Barrett, he's a very talented pass rusher. There's no question about it. Two-time Super Bowl champ. Has, just under 60 sacks. He was a dynamic guy, a backup with the Broncos. And when he escaped kind of the shadow of Von Miller, he became a superstar over there in Tampa Bay. So he's a very talented player. Former second-team All-Pro, a couple of Pro Bowls. He would have been a nice fit here in New York with this talented Jets defense, but alas, it was not meant to be.
Yeah, so I had a bunch of things to say, and then you said that. So let's unpack what you just said.
Okay.
So I'll be honest.
I prefer that.
Shaq Barrett. Who? What?
Oh,
Come on.
ooh.
You got to be kidding me. And the fact that you're the perennial optimist, right? This guy is a joke and a clown. And for you to give him as many props as you did is shocking,
Wow.
right? Let me give you some facts. This
Sure.
guy's long in the tooth, right? It's been half a decade since he's registered any amount of sacks of any significant nature, right? And it's exactly, we should thank him, right? As we didn't sign him. I'll get to that in a second. But the guy's an idiot, right? In reality, that he could say that there's no state tax. Now that is attractive, right? That is 8% of your pay. Just think about that. So, right, if you're making we'll call it 10%. It's not 10%. We'll call it, but it's 8%. But
For simple math. Yep.
You signed a $10 million contract. That's another million shekels in your pocket.
Yeah.
Now that's a real reason to sign with a team.
Okay.
Well, factually, we could go into the fact that the Miami Dolphins have the longest playoff win drought of anybody,
Yes.
a quarter of a century. Or, he's not Tyreek Hill, right? Tyreek Hill can say he doesn't want to go to the Jets because they weren't very good. And when he said it, that was true. And Jets are working in the right direction, but that was true. By the way, Tyreek Hill, right, is a superstar, is one of the top people in his position in the NFL. This other jamoke, right, is not, right?
I see.
And so there's no reason for him to talk crap. And by the way, do the Dolphins have more? Did they do better in the past couple of years? Sure, but they weren't, right. That means they were the shiniest peanut in the turd, right? Because neither one was very good. So to say they're more proven is a stupid thing to say.
Okay.
And,
well, that's good to hear from an outside perspective. Okay.
I mean,
did not
in
think
reality, it's just dumb.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'll go to the fact that Jets don't need him, right? The Jets have solid players on their team. They are a team defense with 3 superstars. That's how I see it, right? You get medium hot sauce, right? You got Quentin Tarantino, and then you have your namesake, CJ, right? So you got 3 of the top players on the team.
Yep.
You don't need to overpay for somebody. Anybody you put beside or line up with Quentin Williams is going to benefit, as we saw with the guy that just left. And you can help me out with his name.
Bryce Huff, yes.
Bryce Huff.
The Eagles. Yeah.
So we don't need that. We don't need to pay him $10 million a year, right? We could use that money on other things. He's not worth $10 million a year, and good riddance. And the fact that it's just shows no class, because there's no reason to disparage the Jets.
Okay, good. So a couple of things here to unpack from that. So first off, that's not the take I expected you to take. I thought you were going to jump on Shaq Barrett and start roundhouse kicking the Jets. So it's a pleasant surprise that you are not. But a couple of things here, and you mentioned them. The Dolphins have 4 straight winning seasons over the last 4 years. So regular season success. And an overall whole, they've done obviously far superior win-loss record than the New York Jets. But you also mentioned, go ahead.
On that one. On that one, that's a pretty low bar, right? The Dallas Cowboys, when Tom Landry was a coach, had like 29 winning seasons in a row. So to have 4 winning seasons in a row is like 12th prize. It's like the $10 prize you get in Monopoly for second place in a beauty contest. So that's not.
And I think there's something, what's the right word to kind of magnify this? So 4 winning seasons, that's good. That's okay. That's where you'd rather have 4 winning than 4 losing. But I think when you put a fine tooth comb through it, last season, I just have this stat. This was an article written on Christmas Eve, and I added to it the losses that were to come for the Miami Dolphins and the wins that were to come. The Dolphins were 1-9 against teams with a winning record. So their only win, and I didn't mean this as a joke towards you, was the Cowboys win. But besides that, they had all these L's. So there was a lack of quality on the wins that they had. They beat up on bad teams up until Christmas Eve. And then over, I think this is the last 2-year span, 16-6 against teams that had a sub 500 record. The Jets, on the other hand, the team that is less established and less proven, they had 3 wins right off the top of my head of against teams of above 500. So they had 3 times on the Dolphins there over that same stretch of time, which I find interesting. So just from an established, proven thing, it seemed like the Jets were a little bit higher on the quality train. And I think a lot of Jets fans would say some of the games that they shoulda, coulda, woulda won that I don't think you would say in the same light as the Dolphins. The Week 4 Kansas City Chiefs game where they got away with that brutal hold call that changed the whole game there at the end, or the Jets getting an interception, then they actually do call the hold, but the wrong hold on the wrong side. So on top of what the Jets actually have, a few more that they could have had is something as well. And then you also mentioned it, but it bears repeating. The Jets may have the longest active playoff drought in the NFL. There's no question. It's 13 seasons and counting. That's pretty embarrassing.
It's actually the longest playoff drought in all major sports in the United States.
I didn't need that clarity, but thanks for providing it anyway. But that makes this even more impressive, I think. So the Jets are in the middle of this run where they haven't even had a chance to get a playoff win in 13 years. They haven't been there. So put that in the back of your head for a second. The Dolphins, the last time they won a playoff game, a singular game, that's all I'm asking, was the turn of the century. It was the year 2000 was the last time that the Dolphins won a playoff game. And I have it right here in the article. So let me just get my reading glasses out here and make sure that I, appropriately label this for the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins over the last 24 years are 0-6 in the playoffs since that last playoff win in the year 2000. Interestingly, the Jets also have 6 losses. You're like, oh boy, they also have 6 wins, including back-to-back trips to the AFC Championship game. And again, so the Jets have 6 more wins than the Dolphins, and they haven't been to the playoffs in 13 years. You know how hard that would have to be? That for 13 years, they just said, we're not going to go. We're just not going to go. And they still have 6 more wins than the Dolphins. So this more established and more proven thing. When you really start looking at the data, Shaq Barrett, not really seeing it. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So I just want to put that down in the universe. But I actually had some people. So we posted this article on the Heavy on Jets Facebook page last night, Father. And so it doesn't say it in the headline. My headline is this. Let me make sure I read the appropriate headline. This is the headline on Heavy on Jets. 2-time Super Bowl champ ditches Jets last second side with 5-0. So I have nothing about his diss in the headline. But for the Facebook caption, I'm like, not only did this guy leave, but it's all, a little insult to injury on the way out. We had a lot of comments that said they didn't think he was dissing the Jets at all. They said he was just spitting facts. So there was a lot of people that even questioned the fact that a diss was happening here, but it felt like he really went out of his way, in my opinion, to really kind of crap on the Jets for no apparent reason. The no state, he could have easily just said the no state income tax thing, because everyone says that. Tyreek Hill said that. Tyreek Hill also blamed Adam Sandler for not returning a phone call for the reason he didn't sign with the Jets. It seems like he provides a new reason every year. I don't really know what's going on with that Tyreek Hill guy, but regardless, it does seem like everyone could just say the state income tax thing and then the conversation's over. But to say, I was going to the Jets 99% of the time until last second, I didn't. And then everything else he said, it just seemed like a dick move, Todd. Dick move.
50% of the time, it works every time.
That's what I've heard.
But I'll tell you that, again, a win for the Jets, right? They need to not go after this Shaqless wonder, and they need to let that clown stay home. And I'm talking about Clowney. So that's not what they need, right? They need complementary draft pieces, free agency market, sign people off the practice squad, for God's sakes, because when they're plugged into that defense, and you have to focus on Pulp Fiction and these other characters, then they're going to succeed, right? So could he have come in and produced and put some good numbers up? Likely. But my defense or my case is so could anybody else, right? So could that 4th round draft pick that we're going to get this year or the 5th round draft pick. So this is, again, that they were courting with them. The Jets have done much better than I think anyone expected him to do in free agency. Mm-hmm. they've made some clunkers, right? Some bad decisions, in my opinion. And this would have been one of them. So they were saved, right?
But let me ask you. So I think okay, the story can be whatever you want it to be if you're listening at home or watching at home. It could be, oh, wow, free agent skips out on Jets, LOL Jets. That could be the takeaway if you want from the story. But actually, my takeaway was the fact that they were swimming in these waters. I couldn't confirm the contract numbers. That's why I didn't put it in there. But the rumors are that it's a 1-year deal with a maximum value of $9 million was a deal that Shaq Barrett signed. But I wasn't able to confirm that on multiple sources to put it in the story. So I didn't, there's no contract numbers in the story, but that's what I believe it is. So if the Jets were swimming in those waters, and they did just host Jadeveon Clowney for a visit at the team facilities, the revealing thing to me is, whoa, okay, the Jets are not playing around. If that's the waters they're swimming in, that's where they're looking to go. The other potential takeaway is they wanted Shaq Barrett, he went somewhere else, and then they put that money towards Tyron Smith, or they put that money to someone else. So maybe it was just position reallocation of resources, and maybe they're not going to go now get another edge rusher. Maybe they're just flirting here with Clowney. But it said one of those two things, though. Either they're going to get a pass rusher somewhere in these waters, and we could go through some of the top names in a second, or it was reallocation of money and that went to some of the other signings they already had. So but that was kind of the takeaway for me on the next level of like, okay, Shaq Barrett, whatever. But the decision to even swim in the waters of Shaq Barrett seemed revealing in a lot of ways.
Yeah, they really need to focus. They still have and again, they have done very well, right? To me, there's 2, 3, 4 significant gaps to fill. And
Do tell. Yes.
I beseech them to stay focused.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Stay focused.
Yeah.
Right.
That was a mission.
Don't do what you did to the backup or the complementary running back position, what you did a backup quarterback, which was ridiculous.
Okay.
That you paid Tyrod Taylor, or Ty, whatever it is, Mr. T's little cousin, that you paid him that much money, and his track record and his history was a big mistake. So we need to stay focused.
I will just say the numbers did come out even better than they were initially reported. Initially, it was a 2-year, $18 million deal. It's actually 2-year, $12 million. So a lot more reasonable with a $6 million per year average. Just to throw that out into the universe, and that's a maximum with incentives. So it looks so it's not even $6 million average. I don't know why I'm saying that. So it looks a lot better than it even is. We've had some further details in some of these Jets contracts, so it looks a lot better.
Yeah, Yeah. So you bought a $3 pair of pants that are going to fall down instead of a $4 pair of pants. So it doesn't look any better. All you have to do is look at his career stats, his history. You know how many times Tyrod Taylor has gotten sacked? Do you know how many times?
In his career? No, I do not know that number. No, I do not.
Do you know how many yards he's thrown for in his career?
Ooh, I might know that because I put it in the story, but probably somewhere like 14,000 maybe?
If you added 2,000 and rounded up, he would have.
Okay, so it's pretty close, but okay.
So he's been in the league over a decade, and he's thrown for 12,000 yards and been sacked just under 180 times. This guy is a joke. It was a mistake. $100,000 they would have overspent. $6 million they way overspent.
It's Dad. This is volcano insurance. Okay. Now, what are the chances my house is going to be affected by a volcano? Probably pretty low, but the volcano insurance makes me sleep a little bit easier at night knowing that I have that tucked away. That's what it is. I hope I never use the volcano insurance on my house. I never want to use it, but it's nice to know it's there. I hope that Aaron Rodgers is fully healthy and we're not using the volcano insurance.
Except the volcano insurance in this case, you're living in Hawaii when you're trying to buy this volcano insurance with Aaron Rodgers at his age, coming off a spectacular play season of 2023, right? You needed a better solution. Signing Tyrod Taylor was no different than the 35 quarterbacks you signed in week 6 when you realized that Zach Taylor, I don't know, sucked. All I'm saying, and it's not hatred. It's a bad decision. They have made great decisions on the offensive line. They made a great signing at wide receiver. This is an area where they missed. And I want
we'll have to agree and disagree there, I guess.
Well, we could stack up the facts on my side and stack up your wishes and kisses on the other side, and we'll find out that your volcano insurance sucks.
I would throw out this. The scrambling ability is still nice. He had his highest rushing total he's had in the last 5 years, so it shows he still has a little bit of that juice in the legs, which has he's not Michael Vick or Randall Cunningham out there, but he's got a little chutzpah from that perspective of adding it in, and he's experienced way more. This is a massive upgrade over what they had last year, and they had 4 quarterbacks last year, so. He's just been around the league, and he's just a notable guy. Now, you could talk about the durability. That could be an issue. The Jets broke his ribs, and then he got hurt in the preseason when Michael Clemens sent him to the shadow realm. There's been a couple of those where he's been hurt by Jets, but outside of durability, there's a lot to like.
So sometimes I know that you don't read between the lines, that even a billboard is too subtle for you. So let me put it like this.
Okay.
The team with the worst starting quarterback in the league. Let this guy go. Just no, let that soak in. Right. The team with the highest paid, worst outside of Russell Wilson, the highest paid, worst NFL starting quarterback in the league. Let him go.
Look at this. Let's go to Danny on Twitter. And normally Danny's giving me a lot of crap as a Buffalo Bills fan, but he led a 9-7 Bills team to the playoffs with Kelvin Benjamin, jumbo fat tight end, and Zay Jones at wide receiver. Capable quarterback, and that's the exact definition of what we're looking for. Capable. Not all pro, not Pro Bowl, capable. And that's what he is. Yeah. He's a capable guy.
He was easily the 15th best backup quarterback available. But I digress.
15th best. Who were the 14 that were better than Tyrod Taylor?
So he was the best out there? Is that what you're saying?
Well, you just said 15th. I think we're making quite a leap here. Okay. Let me go.
So in this area only, and I am not giving the Jets a hard time on this offseason because they've done better, in my opinion, this offseason. They have a long time. They've made the majority of the moves have been good.
Okay. Here's what we'll do. We'll play this game real quick. I have all the quarterbacks that have signed contracts this offseason. I will exclude, obviously, the Kirk Cousins of the world. And you tell me whether you'd rather have Tyrod Taylor or this name as again, I'm putting backups, relatively speaking, into the conversation. Okay.
All right. I can name 3 or 4 off the top of my head that were, and may have been even cheaper, but go ahead.
Okay. Joshua Dobbs. Okay. I'm going to name the player, and you tell me whether you take that guy or Tyrod Taylor.
I'd have to know the numbers for Dodds, but maybe
I have his. Oh, do you want the contract numbers too? I can provide those if you'd like. Okay. Yeah. Josh Dobbs signed a 1-year deal for $2.25 million.
Yeah. So I would have taken Dobbs. Yes.
Oh boy. Mason Rudolph, 1 year, $2.8 million.
I wouldn't have taken Mason Rudolph if he paid us $2 million.
Okay, I can appreciate that. Jameis Winston, 1 year, $4 million.
I would have taken Jameis Winston 100%.
Jimmy Garoppolo. Okay. Jimmy Garoppolo, 1 year, $4.5 million.
What did you say that? Could you say that again for Garoppolo?
So And by the way, I guess I could say the teams here. I have all the information here. Joshua Dobbs joined San Francisco. Mason Rudolph joined Tennessee. Jameis Winston joined Cleveland. Jimmy Garoppolo signed as the backup to Matthew Stafford for the Rams. 1 year, $4.5 million.
Oh, okay. The numbers sounded much different. Okay. That's a big. No, Jimmy Garoppolo is like that. Is like Samuel L. Jackson's character from Unbreakable, right?
Okay.
Right. He stands up and he breaks 5 legs, but 5 bones in his body.
Yeah.
So no.
Okay. Drew Lock, New York Giants, 1 year, $5 million, and I believe that's fully guaranteed.
Yeah. No. No. That's a thumbs down on him.
Okay, Mitchell Trubisky, it's $5.25 million. He joined the Buffalo Bills this offseason. Drew Lock, by the way, joined the Giants. Mitchell Trubisky, Buffalo.
Mitch Trubisky, no.
Okay, Marcus Mariota, $6 million. He got, and most of that guaranteed for the Washington Commanders.
Yeah, no.
Okay, now we're getting to the upper tier of the market. I would categorize it with all these names coming in. Jacoby Brissett, he signed with New England, 1 year, $8 million.
If we could have got him cheaper for longer, I would have taken him, yes.
Sam Darnold, 1 year, $10 million, basically fully guaranteed. You got that from the Vikings. Yeah, this is he has $8.75 million guaranteed, but basically the rest of it he can get too. Yeah.
Yeah, I would tell you this. I
Yeah.
think
Okay.
that every Vikings fan in the United States needs to have constant guard and to keep sharp objects away from them and high like buildings or cliffs.
Wow.
If I was them, so no.
Okay. All right. And then Tyrod Taylor ended up getting a 2-year, $12 million deal. It's eight. Well, let me make sure I got the number here. 8.5 million of the 12 million is guaranteed, so it gives him some promised money into the future.
I think you skipped a few quarterbacks.
No, it goes right up. This is the average money of quarterbacks that have signed this offseason. So Tyrod Taylor's next on the list. He has the higher contract than Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's had 10 million on a 1-year deal. Tyrod Taylor's 12 million, and then I have only one left after Tyrod that signed this offseason.
Okay, who's that?
Gardner Minshew, who is the
Yes.
2-year, $25 million deal. But it looks like from the money, 25 million. Let me see what's the guarantees. He has 15 million in guarantees. He'll be competing for a starting quarterback job. So I guess that's the only difference. But yeah, he's the quote unquote top of the market if you categorize him as backup / starter for Vegas right now.
Yeah, I would take Gardner Minshew every day.
Okay. I respect the Gardner Minshew one, and again, Minshew got more guarantee money than any backup quarterback in the NFL this offseason, and he has a chance to start. So I understand that apparently he was never coming here to the Jets with that kind of money on the table, and I don't blame him. But besides that, you look at this list. I know some of the things you said here about rather have Dobbs or this guy or that guy. Dobbs unproven. Rudolph sucks. Winston is a wild card who, by the way, I would have loved the upside, but he's a wild bastard and the crab legs and everything. I don't know. Brissett, I think we would have liked, but again, he also has a chance to start there in New England, depending on who they end up drafting. So some of these guys get starting promises that the Jets couldn't provide. But I look at this list and I'm perfectly fine seeing the the leftovers here in the fridge. Again, I go back to Tyrod Taylor, go, okay, I'm all right with that.
Yeah, and that's the Jet fan in you. You can't move
Perhaps.
past it. By the way, you did not cover everybody. You did not cover
who did
all.
I do tell?
It wasn't a signing, it was a trade. I would have taken Justin Fields all day for a conditional 6th-round draft. Are you kidding me? Where were the Jets on that? Where were the Jets on that? That Justin Fields is better than 90% of the list of people we just said, right? And so that we didn't at least dip our toe in that water, that was a huge miss. Huge.
I'm curious because of how they've described it, the Justin Fields trade negotiations. So obviously, whoever we'll see with Pittsburgh, I guess they have to make a decision by May 2nd whether they're accepting his 5th-year option, which is north of $20 million. I assume they're going to decline that. Especially since it looks like right now Russell is the unquestioned starter, and then maybe Justin Fields can surprise at a later point. That's how it's been described by NFL reporters. So he's the backup quarterback in Pittsburgh. So like I said, I believe that 5th-year option will be declined, and he's owed about $2 million and change this year. So the money's nothing; it's non-existent. But it sounded like Justin Fields really wanted to go to Pittsburgh, and Chicago, quote unquote, acquiesced to those demands and allowed him to go there from the interested teams. It's been reported that I believe 5 total teams were interested in Fields. So that's a long way of saying, going back to your point, would he have even approved a deal to the Jets? He doesn't have a no trade clause, but it sounds like Chicago is trying to work with him where he was clearly a backup. Now he's a backup right now, but with how Russell Wilson has been over the last couple of years, maybe he could squint and go, I can find a way there. He can't really find a way there with Rodgers unless he gets hurt. So in Madden, I agree. Why not add Fields if you're just removing all the everything else and it's just the move and the player to the roster? Sure, Justin Fields is kind of interesting as a dart throw, but factoring all the human, emotional, and all that stuff, is he cool being a straight up backup where he has zero chance? That part I don't know. So maybe that's why the Jets didn't. But
well, they didn't even explore it. But anyways, the one last interesting thing about that Justin Fields trade is that trade sealed the deal on our boy, on I guess we can call him the water boy now, that he was not getting traded for a used napkin.
The trade offers that I just saw, maybe we'll write that up for heavy, but the 33rd team, so I got some former NFL people that work there, like executives and stuff. Their proposed trade was to the Chiefs for a conditional 7th, and which means I didn't read the conditions of said 7th, but normally that's a make the team situation. If they don't, they give up nothing. If they do, it's a 7th. So that seems like perhaps the waters we're swimming in right now. And of course, the boy you're referencing is Zach Wilson, who, if you look at that quarterback class, 5 quarterbacks went in the first round. Number 1 is Trevor Lawrence, who I believe was underwhelming, although some people kind of push back on that. He has not lived up to the number 1 overall pick, but he's the best of the crappy group, I guess. But I think we all knew that back then. So Trevor Lawrence has been underwhelming. Zach Wilson has been terrible. And I'm going to go in some weird order here, but Mac Jones has been terrible. He got traded for a 6th-round pick. Justin Fields got traded for a 6th-round pick. And then there's Trey Lance, of course. How could I forget? He got traded to the Dallas Cowboys for a 4th, and we just haven't seen him. He's thrown like 100 passing attempts in the last 8 years. So, like, we have no, and it looks like that is not set to change with Dak Prescott there for the foreseeable future. So, yeah, it's been an epic disaster. That entire room has all been traded outside of Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence, and the Jets are hoping they could trade Zach Wilson. So, not ideal.
Yeah, right. And I'll tell you, of all of them, and I don't know why you said his name and it escapes me, Rao. Help me out. The quarterback that Cowboys got from the 49ers?
Trey Lance. Yeah.
Trey Lance, thanks. I don't know why his name. Yeah, Trey Lance. I would say every quarterback that you named in that class got more than a fair opportunity to play. And Trey Lance got the least of the amount of opportunity of that batch, right? Mac Jones.
Oh, of course, obviously, yes, yeah.
Plenty of opportunity, right? And so we don't know about Trey Lance, what I'm saying. And frankly,
he's a mystery box. We have no clue, good, bad, or indifferent, which is why I think the 49ers, quote unquote, got a 4th round out of him, because it's a mystery, and teams are intrigued by mystery.
Right. It's a mystery. You know, they have Cooper Rush, one of the best backup quarterbacks in the league. And I'm happy to keep him. Right. So they gave Trey Lance because it was, free almost.
Yeah, they just picked up a pretty juicy. It was in March. Well, we're still in March. They picked up a pretty juicy option on him. It wasn't like 15 million or something. It was like 3, 4, 5 million. But that probably ensures a roster spot. So they're probably carrying 3 QBs once again. The Cowboys, I'm talking, moving into the future here.
That's right. But yes, so just an area I thought the Jets could have done better in backup quarterback.
Okay.
11 years in the league, 12,000 yards. Didn't start that many games. He does run, but he also gets sacked a lot for the number of games. He started he's played in less than 90 games, right, and to be sacked 177 times. You can look up the numbers, but you can take it to the bank, what I said.
Yeah, so here are the numbers. He has appeared in 92 games in his career. Again, he entered the league way back in 2011. He's appeared in 92 games. He's made 58 starts. He's a 500 starter, 28, 28, and 21. 12,000 passing yards. Let me get the TD. 65 touchdowns, so 29 interception ratio. So he's got a 2-to-1 ratio. That's nice. Completion percentage is a little lower than you'd like at 61.7. Passing numbers are fine. What's the average there? Okay, so he's got a 1.7% interception rate. Okay, yeah, some of these numbers aren't bad. And then his rushing numbers as well. Let's see. Actually, the other thing I wanted to check before we move on from this. So last year for the Giants, he was a 5-game starter. Then the last time he was a starter was in Houston in 2021. He had 6 games of starts, and then it was a lot of spot duty. Played in the game for the Chargers. That was he got shanked he got his lung punctured by whoever that crazy doctor is. Next time he punctured his lung when he was trying to give him a shot before the game, that freak. Started a couple games in Cleveland, and then he was the Buffalo starter basically until Josh Allen took the job. So he was the predominant Buffalo starter for a 3-year stretch, leaves to Cleveland as a primary backup. He's been a primary backup basically since 2018. So the last 6-ish years, he's been a primary backup.
Yes. Well, so is it time now? Is it time?
Sure. Yeah, I guess. I totally forgot about this, but I appreciate you not. So for folks that missed it, so my father, which is the person you're also seeing on screen, if you joined, this is for real. This is my father. Yes, my Hop on Pop. He's on the program every weekend. One of the days on the weekend. Normally it's every Saturday. He joins the show. We've had him on for a while. and a new bit the fans have asked for is some sort of embarrassing or insert whatever the word was someone said last week story about something in the past. So my father, unfortunately, is the conductor of all of these stories, and he apparently has plenty of material, which is excellent. That a segment of this nature could even exist, which wonderful. So, righty, let's get to it. What do we have?
Yeah. So a little backstory here for
Sure.
I'd
Yeah.
like to disavow that this story does not is not about real people or real crimes committed, and
Statute of limitations,
statute of
etc.
limitations have
That's good to hear.
exceeded
Yeah.
on this. So, but here we go. This is a little embarrassing, but
Yeah. For who?
my son,
Okay. All right.
although not convicted, was responsible for a mass killing. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
He killed in excess of 30 living beings.
I-
30
I-
living beings.
okay.
So,
Mhm.
for those people that don't know, I got to give a little background. Those people
Sure,
don't know,
that'd be important.
most people live in New York. People that don't, well, you've seen the commercials, the gecko, right? For the Geico commercials. So you don't see a lot of those in New York. They're very predominant down the South.
Mhm.
And so one year for Christmas,
Okay.
Boy Green was given a habitat, a terrarium, which
Yeah,
is
biodome. Yeah. Uh-huh.
biodome, which is designed to hold one lizard, a lizard that you would, you catch it, and actually Geicos are fun fact. Geckos live for quite a while. Geckos or live for quite a while, and they make good pets. So Boy Green said, well, if one makes a good pet, 30 would make better pets. So this, what's the word used before? This habitat used a different word.
Biodome.
This biodome was roughly the size of a 10 can, like a big can of coffee. It was circular. It's like
I'd say it's a little
cone.
bigger than that.
This is my story. You just listen. So it's the size of this. And so one day, when I came home from work, he had filled that biodome with, I don't know, 25 geckos. 25 geckos stacked on top of each other, all trying to survive. And he threw like a few bugs in there. What you don't realize is a little fun fact about geckos is when threatened, they can let go of their tail.
Yes.
And so after I cleaned up the crime scene of these dead geckos, there was more tails left in that biodome than you see on spring break at Daytona Beach. Right? I had 30 tails of these geckos, and they were all dead. Right? And so the average lifespan of a gecko is 20 years. You single-handedly reduced the average lifespan of a gecko in the United States to about 18 years, as you almost completely decimated the population of geckos in Somerville, South Carolina.
Wow. Yes. So also for people who don't know, they're rampant in South Carolina, so you could catch them. You could catch geckos, and you could have them in there. So yeah. Again, I think there's some holes in the story, but that's
no. You clearly drove your van, opened the door up. Come on, geckos, you want some candy? Come live in my biodome.
That's not how I quite remember it, but
Come live in my biodome. Oh, I have a bunch of friends in here. What the hell? Why are all these? I can't breathe. I'm gonna drop my tail.
Wow. And I just tried to have, yeah, it is what this, wait, I got the wrong one. It was the Biodome Gecko Gladiator. Like, you have a couple of geckos kind of going after each other. So, but Yes, I tried to feed them. NY Jets FL asked, did they eat anything? Well, I tried to catch a couple flies alive and then like throw them in the biodome and like, close the lid, the ceiling, the whatever you want to call it. And then they started eating them. And I like kind of figured out, like, here's the thing. Okay. So, they bought me the biodome. So I have this container that is designed for animals like geckos. Okay. But we didn't buy a gecko. I was catching them outside, like out in the wilderness. And these geckos, or I'll try to do a service with my hands. And if I'm, for my audio listeners, I'll try to describe it. But like, this is like a 6 inches maybe of a gecko. It's not like a salamander. It's not like a big ass thing here. Like these things are a little smaller, like probably 4 to 6 inches if I had to kind of guess how big these things are. And you're kind of catching them and then you're putting them in the biodome. So again, I didn't really know what they were supposed to eat. I'm just trying to figure this out as a child, as a kid, as a whatever you want to call it. And then eventually, again, the catch and fly. Oh, okay. And I'm taking it. Okay. So flies, they like flies. So the problem was I didn't quite go through the discovery process quick enough for the gecko's lifespan. And, there was a few hurdles in the process, but, basically. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and just to wrap up the perspective on this,
sure.
The way you described the story, it's like you might have been 5 or 6. You were 12. All right.
That still sounds like a child to me, a pre-adolescent.
Yeah, right. You already had one of those cheesy pencil mustaches.
Which again, I basically came out of the womb with facial hair, so it just is what it is. I've just this is just part of my life. I've had this forever. I used to remember. This person is not watching the show, but if they were, I mean, it's I used to have a CJ. I'll save out the last name, but CJ was a childhood friend of mine, and his father's name was Charles. And when I used to come over, he used to say, "Get that caterpillar off your lip, boy." And he was talking about the facial hair that I used to bring in like 5th grade, which was probably disturbing for everyone. What is going on over here? But so I used to have those stories as well, which always caused something interesting. But so that is the story. So I appreciate it. You're probably out of stories now. This segment's probably over, one and done after this, I imagine, correct?
You're right. This segment is over for this week.
I see. Excellent. Well,
I think next week I'm going to talk about how similar you are to Ron Burgundy. But
Ron Burgundy, that sounds like quite a tease for the next one on the show. Excellent. I'm very much looking forward to that. So I just put it in here, everybody. I'm pinning this comment. So for the very first time, this is probably a mistake, but for the very first time, you can join the Hop on Pop Father-Son Show right now. It is the pinned comment on YouTube. We will open up the phone lines, or video lines rather, to a couple of calls if you'd like to hop on the show and ask something to my father on purpose. That is now the pinned comment on YouTube. I just put that in there, so feel free to click and join if you'd like. Again, you just kind of have to be on camera, and you can ask your questions, jets, or whatever related. I will throw a couple of them out there as we're waiting for anyone to feel free to grace the green room here. If you'd like to join us on the show, and we'll answer whatever questions you guys may have. We'll see if I can find this comment. But basically, they said, so you are part Cowboys fan, part Jets fan. Someone asked earlier, may not be able to pull up the comment. How do we get you over fully to Jets? Someone asked earlier.
Yeah, so I don't think that's possible. I've been a Cowboys fan for, well, let's just say in excess of 5 decades. Wow. So pulling me over is not possible, but I've been a Jets supporter. I don't know how you call it, the second team of the Jets for about 2 decades. So
sure, yeah.
So it's be hard to do. I do help the Jets do the right things and not going back to not the shiny object. We still need the other half to our running back combo. We still need to back up the offensive line, and then things of that, and a tight end. And hopefully our friend from Georgia is available at number 10. Otherwise, we need to drop back, trade out, bolster the offensive line. And most importantly, is a quarterback of the future. I know that what's your guy with the hair on Mondays? What's his name?
Don C.
Yeah, Don C. Yeah, so I'm contrary to what Don C may think. If we could get that 6th-round draft pick of Sam Hartman, we should jump all over that. We got to get somebody for the future. Build now. There's the future one, the BPA in the 6th round for the future.
I like that. Okay, for the first time ever. So if you're at your future trivia night, you're like, who was the first caller on the Hop on Pop show? Remember this name. NY Jets FL is gracing us with his presence. Let's bring him here on the program on the video call-in line. What's up, brother?
Good morning, gentlemen. Hey, Paul Senior, what's up?
Hey, how you doing?
Good to see you, man. I wanted your opinion on the amazing job that the Cowboys have done during free agency. Just tell me what, since you are the general manager of the Cowboys first, since you're such a fan, just seeing what you thought about the free agency situation.
Yeah, it's disappointing at best. And I would tell you, they have things to do, and I don't know why they're not doing them. They should have restructured the contract of CeeDee Lamb. They should decide what they're doing with CeeDee Lamb, Dak, and Micah. And then you would have had the money to do something in free agency. I'm not sad that Pollard left. He at best was the 3rd down back without a complimentary piece. And he was overpriced. So yeah, free agency. If I would have been okay if we brought Zeke back and kept Pollard around at a discounted rate, because you need that 1-2 punch, which is really what the Jets need. If the Jets had gone out and gotten the Henry to be the complimentary pounder, so I think that's one of the things the Jets need to go get is a pounder to complement our stable. But yeah, it's been disappointing, and they for someone that said they went all in and they've done nothing except lose pieces, it's been not very good.
Yeah, well, maybe they have other plans. Do you think Mekhi Becton can replace Tyron Smith? That's a half joke, by the way.
Yeah, thanks. I was trying to figure out a nice way to say that. That's a no. I would take the 5th round, the 6th round draft pick from Oswego High School before we spent a lot of money on Becton.
Oh,
And really, it's because of the penalties. I think he's played at times because he's had injuries. He's tried to overcome them, which has resulted in penalties. I'm not saying he's a bad football player. I just think he's had trouble staying on the field, and he's been on the field trying to produce when at times maybe he shouldn't have. So there's the health piece for Becton that I would not be a fan of them signing. But he did put some good games and good years for the Jets. For 100% sure of that.
Yeah, he had 16 of 17 games this past season, and the one he missed was on a short week. That was the Black Friday game, and so the attendance was there, and there were some really nice games earlier in the season, and then, to your point, maybe it was the injury, maybe he tried to battle through, I'm not sure, but then you saw some level of regression, obviously, in the back half of the season. All the penalties and the sacks allowed, and some of those numbers are egregious, but I'm curious if someone, I feel like he has to be on I'd be surprised if he wasn't on an NFL roster come training camp. So, and I think it's going to come before that because offensive linemen are so scarce. I think someone is going to take a 1-year flyer, and maybe if he has the same lightning in the bottle again, maybe he can really dip his toe into the richer side of the free agent waters next year, because I think a lot of teams are unwilling to dive in after 1 year, and there's a lot of bad that happened this year, but 1 year of, he stayed on the field. I don't think a multi-year deal is coming for old Mekhi on the open market.
True. I really think he kind of wore down too at the end of the year. I mean, it's coming off those injuries. That's
of course
long for a player coming off that kind of that situation. What I missed the early part of the show, but do you think if we trade down, I proposed something about trading down into the 1st round, and if we got a 2nd rounder and taking a quarterback, like Michael Penix, if he falls. I know it's risky, but maybe a 3rd rounder. We can always take the 3rd rounder and get a receiver, or package a 4th rounder and a 3rd, and maybe get back into the 2nd round. But at some point, Paul, right? We have to get a quarterback. I mean, or you can go the Brock Bowers route on a trade down, or even take him at 10. I mean, I would rather get a weapon for Rodgers than get a part-time offensive lineman who, honestly, with all the busts recently in the offensive line room, such as Evan Neal and Mackay. How
Sure.
do you really trust these evaluations? I mean, it's kind of a dart throw at some of these guys.
Yeah, it's a fair point. I would say personally, your Penix option is a kid I love. I thought he killed it at the combine, and even beyond the combine. It's not just a combine thing for me. He just is perhaps one of the most beautiful throwers of the football in all of college football. And again, I know it looks weird because he's a lefty, but like man, Penix to me would be very interesting. Now the criticisms are twofold. First off, age. He's 23, turns 24 after the draft, so. And in the Jets scenario, he'd be sitting at least 1 year. It could be multiple potentially. So the age, he'll be a Brandon Whedon, Mormon trip by the time he ever ends up being, the Jets starting quarterback. So that's one factor. And the other ones is, of course, the injury. So the clean bill of health he got at the combine was clean bill, but there's 32 teams, 32 different doctors. I'll be curious. He has had some significant. He's got like a track record of medical history, everywhere he's been in his college career. So that part's a little concerning, especially the serious nature of some of these. Some teams will not even have him on their board, if we're being honest, because of some of those injuries. But you know what? He's talented. The Jets should have somebody. I've told everybody my ideal quarterback room is Rodgers, and then the veteran, which ends up being Tyrod Taylor. And that QB3 is someone that can just absorb information from two warriors that have battle scars and have been around the league, and having Aaron Rodgers been the highest of highs and Tyrod figuring out his NFL career, that would be, to me, a fountain of, a wealth of knowledge and information for whoever that QB3 is. So I don't think they should waste the QB3 on another veteran. It should be a player they want to develop, someone they can mold, a piece of clay that can really absorb information and take things, because I imagine that quarterback room will be pretty cool. So, yeah, I'm not totally off the board if you trade back because of everything they've filled, the immediacy. They have a new starting 5 offensive line. They have a new Robin to Garrett Wilson's Batman at wide receiver. You trade back, you pick up a second-round pick. I think it's very much in the conversation, to dive into those waters. So no, it will be a shock. I'm sure there'll be people like Rich I said, sweet Lord, have mercy, and using all my crazy words if they take quarterback, even in a trade back. But I think it could be intriguing. Pop, what say you?
Yeah, I'm with you. Again, I didn't like the Tyrod Taylor signing. Anyone that gets benched in favor of Danny DeVito or Danny,
Tommy DeVito. Yeah, Danny DeVito's the actor.
Yeah, I know what his name was. Yeah.
I was thinking Mike DeVito.
I know his name. But I would tell you that the Jets, with their signings of free agency, have allowed themselves the flexibility to trade back, right? And I think you trade back, you get that second rounder, let's say, and then you really do the detailed evaluation, the pros, the cons. I'm sure they give them scores of all the quarterbacks that are in the draft on their board, and you figure out who it is. So if you got, air quotes, the free pick because you traded out of the first round and you got that second pick, and your guy that you had highly rated was on the board, then it would be an opportunity to get that quarterback of the future, right? Because Aaron Rodgers, he's going to have a few years, 1, 2, who knows? Hopefully he stays healthy. Tyrod Taylor, is not going to be around forever. So you probably have somebody you can develop for a few years. And if you took them at 2 with, air quotes, a free pick, and they have that flexibility, right? If Brock Bowers drops to 10, unlikely, Joe Alt drops to 10, we put ourselves in a position that you can take that phenomenal talent. It's not the BPA, but it's a holy shit, this guy is still on the board pick, right? And those are the two, to me, if they were there at 10, the Brock Bowers, the Joe Alt, then I take them and I consider it a win. Other than that, I'd have to seriously consider trading back. But you really need to have somebody dissecting your top 10 quarterbacks in this top 15 quarterbacks, how they're graded out, pros, cons, how it fits into your scheme, because you really need that quarterback of the future. If the Jets leave, contrary to Don C. Hairdo or whatever his name is, contrary to his opinion, who said we shouldn't draft a quarterback, that would be a huge mistake not to draft a quarterback. We've set ourselves up with the opportunity with the moves we made to be able to get that quarterback and our quarterback of the future, which we don't have on the roster right now.
Hey, Paul.
Yes,
Paul,
sir.
Real quick.
Yeah.
If anyone's thinking of drafting Sam Hartman, go watch him at the combine. He couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. He literally could hit a receiver I don't think maybe 1 out of 10 times. He was
Yeah.
wildly. I mean, I know that's not your exact what you need to figure out if he's a quarterback
Right.
in the
Yes.
NFL, but I mean, god awful in that. So anyway, pleasure talking to you both. Enjoy your collaboration.
All right, thank you. NY Jets FL joining us. So we have a lot of calls waiting. We'll get to all of you here, but quick excuse me, quick comment on that. I will just say, in respect to the Hartmans and everyone else who's at the combine, because JJ McCarthy had a couple of bad ones that went viral on social media, right? A receiver's running a quick 5-yard out and he launches it over their head into the stands and it goes viral like, haha, what an idiot. I would just say that, like, these quarterbacks are working with receivers they've never seen before, never worked with before. So it's new. It's new. So, there's a chance for some of these miscommunication. I'm not going to purely, wipe away everything for Hartman or McCarthy or any of these guys. And I just want to say that we should have that kind of part of the evaluation process as we're coming in here that, at the combine, you work with people you never have before, routes, especially on the deep balls, right? He's like, I hope this kid could get it. You're chucking speed, timing, all these other things. So keep that in mind as well for some of these. Okay, let's keep going. We got a lot of callers in here. This is great. Let's go to our boy. We got Johnny joining us here on the program. What's up, Johnny?
What's going on, Boy Green? What's going on, Mr. Esden? How are you, sir?
Great, and you?
Enjoying the beautiful weather over here in Virginia. No, it's like a freaking northeastern over here. It's horrible.
Wow, I'm hearing the birds whistling. I'm hearing the water. Wow, you're like a nature valley over there. Wow.
Oh, yeah. You can see it over. Like, I live on a lake.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Oh,
Where's
wow.
the invite, Johnny? We need to head down to the lake at the Johnny residence.
Whenever you guys want to.
Okay, excellent.
Over, man. Virginia Beach.
Oh, very nice.
But I don't know, man. I'm on trade back scenario too. So I think that's what needs to be talked about for myself at least. But dude, like, I know this might be crazy what I'm about to say.
Okay.
I have the only feeling that Joe Douglas is going to do something that we don't expect, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
I feel like it's going to be a Dallas Turner, a Jared verse. And then in the second, third round, right, because I think we're going to get a second round pick, we end up going and picking up offensive linemen. And we go offensive lineman second, offensive lineman third. And in the fourth is where we'll get that weapon. Because, I mean, I feel like there's some wide receivers that are out there that can be really good. Your Luke McCaffreys.
Ooh, okay.
They're Anthony Golds. These guys that nobody are talking about that are really, really fluid on the route running. And for myself, as an individual that likes these receivers that run the routes very well, like an Anthony Gold, the only reason he's dropping that back, he went to Oregon State and he's 5'8".
Yeah. Vertically challenged. I'm aware of that. That discrimination here in America. Yes.
But I really feel like that kid is going to be good. So I just wanted to throw that to you guys and what do you guys think that if we went that route, he went ahead and just dropped because you could never have enough edges. Now I don't want that. I want a weapon. I want offensive linemen. That's my whole point. And to the guy that just called before, Sam Hartman will be a good quarterback to transition into the NFL. He just needs to sit behind somebody that's going to go ahead and give him the opportunity to become something later on, not just throw him in there. So that's my take, because we watched him a lot out here, especially when he was in Wake Forest.
Yes.
He was a monster, but what's you guys' take on that?
Yeah, I would say first off, I saw him a lot in Syracuse, so that's where I'm located in that area. So I saw him a lot in ACC country. He played Syracuse all the time, so I think he's a really talented kid. So I think he'd be, throw him in the bucket. The Jets are meeting privately. That's another one. Maybe we'll have more on that in a future episode. But Jordan Travis are bringing in for their 30 visits, where they bring him a full tour of the private facilities and everything. So we'll see who else gets added to that list. So Sam Hartman, sure, throw him in the group. And in terms of the Two things. First off, the splash. We have to be ready for the surprise splash. The front row of SeaWorld. Will McDonald, what the? Like, whatever. We have to be prepared for that because Joe Douglas has shown us that in the past. Is that defense? Is that some zigzag? And we hear a name, we're like, excuse me, what was that? This is our first round pick, Joe Douglas. Yeah, this. So we have to be ready for whatever that potentially looks like. And the trade back, I feel like that's most popular right now because there's two schools of thought. That with the Jets filling all the immediate stuff, offensive line, wide receiver, what have you, a trade back makes sense because you're like, well, we filled the obvious stuff. Let's trade back and just fill out depth because depth behind. I love Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses, but they're both 33 and they're both in the last years of their deal, either 1 year for Tyron or last year on a multi-year deal for Morgan Moses. And right now, Carter Warren, Max Mitchell, like that's the offensive tackle depth. So if they went for their sixth man, that swing tackle, that would make sense potentially in the draft. Another wide receiver because Mike Williams obviously is coming off a torn ACL. So what does that look like? Adding another receiver to the room. So I can understand trading back, getting more lottery tickets, and piling them up, especially in the deeper parts of the draft. Where do you lean on both of those, Senior?
Yeah, so I do think that there's something coming. I think some of the bigger holes we have filled, the offensive line, the wide receiver core, and the backup quarterback. So I think, the NFL is a very interesting animal, right? You talk more about the NFL draft and what we're going to do in free agency as it leads up to the draft. And so it's really like this game of chess, right? And so you feed something to Boy Green and then there's this huge buzz. And really the other NFL teams have no idea what you intend to do. So it's really this, what am I really doing? I'm hiding what my real plans are. So I would say they probably have a name that, hey, if this guy's out there, we're going to make a move, right? And, limited span of movement for the Jets. We don't have the draft capital, at least in 2024, right, to do something out of the box. Now, and I'm not an advocate of, packaging something from 2025, but I would tell you, I think there is something that's going to surprise us all that we haven't seen coming. I'm just can't wait to see what it is.
Yeah,
but I definitely think we got to go and build on the offensive line the first 3 rounds. We have more work to do, and if we don't, it's going to be a mistake.
Beautiful.
In the realm of that, right? Let's just flip it around and say, JD is like, you know what? I want your neighbors. I want Harrison, and we trade upwards and all that. I think because I think it was talked about the other night, what would happen if we lost Garrett Wilson? Do we really have that other wide receiver that could come in and be a Garrett Wilson? The answer is no. We don't have that on the roster right now. So picking up a Donze, a Neighbors, or I would love Marvin Harrison.
Oh yeah. Oh yes.
That'd be insane. But it's not out of I guess what I'm trying to say is that JD has put us in a position that we could really talk about this, and there's a possibility that we might be able to go ahead and do it. And he's all in the whole move, or we're all in right now, because that to me would be an all-in move.
Yeah, that's the other side of the line, like I said. So if you fill all your needs, your immediate obvious needs, like, oh boy, we need a left tackle, oh boy, we need an insert position. That's not on the Jets right now. So you could either trade back and get a lot of swings, or the other side. All right, kids, grab the Speedos. We're going in. Let's go. We're trading up. We only have 7 picks. Hey, go to the 2009 draft. The Jets had 3 picks. It was Mark Sanchez, Sean Green, and Matt Slauson. And they just said, you know what, we're going for quality over quantity. And then you had your franchise quarterback in theory. You had your running back who ended up being that key RB2. And then Slauson was a starter at guard for a bunch of years. So they went for a quality approach. We didn't need the Idzik 12 that we had infamously in Jets history, where you're taking so many players, you can't even fit them all on the roster. And that happened that year. I think that could be an approach for the Jets, where they have 7 right now, and whatever it would take potentially to move up and say, hey, we're going for it. Let's add a quality piece that would step in right now and improve. And to your point, give you a little bit of insurance, because that's a scary thing. Garrett, credit to him, he's had some nicks and crazy things where we kind of cringe as Jet fans, like he falls down really hard or he got hit and then he stays on the ground for a second. You're like, oh my God, Alan Lazard is our new wide receiver one. Good Lord have mercy. You know what I mean? So you get a little bit of those heebie-jeebies. And Mike Williams is more than capable, I think, of his own being potentially a number one wide receiver. But again, he has an injury history as well. So I would like some even more padding and insurance. And boy, Marvin Harrison, as the example, would be a present and future option. Presently, okay, he's one of your 3 starting wide receivers. And future, okay, him and Garrett Wilson could be one of the best 1-2 punches in the NFL for the next decade. So that would, to me, depending on price, but as the $1 Million Man says, everybody's got a price. That's what I need a little bit there. So that, depending on the price, I'm willing to get froggy. Father, what do you think? Trade up the other direction.
Yeah, I'm good with trading up. I think we're in a position we could do it. It's got to be the guy. It's not just trading up. And I also think that if I was going to trade up, I would dip into the stores of my draft picks from 2025 and future.
Yes.
Not I wouldn't spend it from 2024. And that was a terrible impersonation of the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase.
Please do better. Please do better.
As a guy that has been on an airplane with Ted DiBiase, as someone that's been in the grocery store with Ted DiBiase, as someone that's been on an airplane when they said that he got upgraded to first class because apparently he was trying to save a few dollars, and the guys they make an announcement. Is Mr. DiBiase on this flight? And I'm in the back. I'm like, it's Ted DiBiase, you idiot.
Okay, can you give us a better one, Father? Please. Yeah, go ahead. You guys
I don't think I can do. I can identify a bad one. I can't. I don't think I have a good one.
That's pretty funny. A lot of people have that ability to, quote unquote, in the back of the room, identify the bad ones, but can't provide them themselves. Just a very interesting observation I want to share with the universe. But anywho, that's neither here nor there. Johnny, I love it. Thank you so much for popping on, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys, man. And Mr. Ezra, man, I do look forward to your Saturdays out here with your son, man. It's really, really awesome that father and son are doing this thing together. As an individual that with my pops, I'm very close with my dad, right? And the fact that you guys are up here talking football and stuff like that just brings that memory of me and my pops all the time. So kudos to you guys, man. That's awesome. That's dope. So I ain't trying to get all emotional and sensitive.
I like it. A little mushy. Okay, we're on the weekend. I feel you, Johnny. I love it, brother. Thanks,
man. I appreciate you guys, man.
There he is. Oh, yeah. Let's go ahead. Get it in. I cut you off. Go ahead, Johnny. Give it to us.
Yes. Jets.
That's it, baby. Love it. There he is, Johnny, calling in. All right, we got one more call here, and I've seen this man join other shows. He's been in our comment section. He's been lurking in the waters, but it's about time that he's made his Boy Green debut. My freaking rock star here. Let's bring in Ricky New York here on the program. What's up, Ricky? What's up, brother?
Hey, what's happening, Paul? Is this the first time I've been on your show?
Yeah.
Maybe it is the first time
we've ever had you call in, baby. Yes. Yeah, long overdue.
Right on. You know what, Johnny, us Jets fans, we never hardly ever get what we want. So if you really, really want neighbors, you can have mine because they suck. At any rate.
That's good.
And I want to apologize to everybody for that possible Jared Verse selection. I threw that out the other day, and kind of like DJ picked chaos, I just picked evil that day, and I threw that out there, and I was like, well, yeah, I was like, well, Jared Verse, he was coached by Mike Norvell, who coached both Bryce Huff and Jermaine Johnson in college, man, and Saleh likes those Norvell guys, and the logic behind it, and it was all in good fun. That being said, there is one of those guys, though, that I do like, our potential quarterback for the future. We're going to go out and we're going to get ourselves dollar store Pat Mahomes. And I don't say that just because he kind of looks like him. And I don't mean that as an insult either. Yeah. Probably a little bit lesser in the arm talent and stuff, but just as escapable and probably better on the run. I'm all about some Jordan Travis, and I would absolutely love that if we could get him in here as our developmental guy. And you do the martial arts thing. I actually have a Eskrima tournament tomorrow that I'm in, and
Wow.
I wanted to ask you, has your father seen the video of you kicking Michael Nanya's head off, and does he approve of that
He is
behavior?
not. Yeah, that's a good question. He's also a fellow black belt. We trained together
Nice.
before he moved away. No, he has not seen that. I don't even think he even knows the reference of the beef apparently between Jets content creators, me and Michael Nania. But yes, Gator made a video. He combined some of my Taekwondo stuff with an editing bay of me doing a back spin kick and kicking off the head of a fellow Jets content creator as he was trying to talk trash with AI and talking, screw you, Paul. And then Boy Green, I'm like, yeah. And then his head flies off outside of a Jets octagon. Do you approve of that behavior, Father?
Yeah. As long as you walk away, I'm good.
Okay, see, booyah. There you go, which I have. Nani is kind of a pretzel stick. So again, I like the weight class. I'm in a little stockier, got a little more Brutus beefcake in. So I like my chances. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't ride Space Mountain because you're not tall
Right
enough.
on.
Yeah, that's great. Oh, but
I'm not
Ricky,
the
real
tallest
quick,
guy either, but I think I can get on there.
Oh no, yeah. Well,
all right,
me, though. But yeah, thanks, Ricky. Yeah, I think we're losing him a little bit. But Ricky, thanks for calling in. Real quick on Jordan Travis, the Jets may be the perfect landing spot for Jordan Travis because of his injury. I think he's going to kind of get like people are going to forget about him as part of this greater part of the draft class, and the Jets get him on day 3. And he's an injured guy, but he's going to be QB3, so he's going to be insulated by all these other quarterbacks on the Jets roster, so he'll be able to recover, heal, and hopefully, to your point, develop Ricky. So hopefully there could be the case there as well. All right, Dad, for the first time, and I need you to be honest here, for the first time we went to the callers, we went to the great people, the great unwashed, as Bud Pollockwood, my former radio partner, likes to call them. Is that an area we should ever swim in again, or should we lock the gates and just never let any of these people back on the show? What's your take?
No, I think it was great. I think it was great that Ricky, his backdrop there was frightening.
Yes,
But Johnny had a phenomenal hat game there. I meant to mention that on that was a solid hat game. So no, I think it was great.
Okay, so people, we will introduce this as a new segment at the back end of these Hop on Pop Saturday or weekend shows. We will open up the phone line so you can join us and ask your questions, and hopefully nothing about my embarrassing past or history will come up. But hey, we don't filter. Whatever you guys would like to discuss on the show is more than dandy. So keep that up. We'll have the phone lines open, like I said, in the back half of some of these shows. And let's get this last question. I see it from Johnny. Just a buzzer beating question here is just on the show. Johnny asked, what does Papa Esden think about Jets getting Zeke? They're looking for an RB2. Someone probably ahead of Israel Abanikanda, the rookie out of Pittsburgh. Again, he didn't have a lot of ops last year, and the coaches publicly called him out for his pass protection issues. A guy that I know is pretty good at the pass protection part of the game, at the very least, is Ezekiel Elliott. What do you make of that potential fit?
Yeah, I think it would be an excellent choice by the Jets. It's weird to me, and I blame Hackett for this, right? It's weird to me. They blew the opportunity, in my opinion, with Dalvin Cook. He didn't have as much gas in the tank as everybody thought, but he also didn't get a really solid shot. And so I think we missed the boat there. Zeke, very similar, great pass blocker, 100% good sign if we can get him.
Okay, that's and I'd like it too for all those reasons that my father just said. And Ricky New York said he was going for like a Ghost Rider jet style. I like it. I think it's scary in a cool way. It's very intense. I like it, Ricky. Rock on, brother. So keep that coming. That's amazing. We have over 1,000 people in the room. So a quick shout out to everybody who watches Boy Green Daily every morning. The 150 plus on YouTube. Make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe. That's a free way to contribute, or join the Boy Green Super Fan Club, where for a monthly membership membership fee. You can join in on all the fun and action, get some special shout outs on the show. So feel free to join the Army. It's growing, baby. We just had NC join us live on the show yesterday. So make sure you guys do that as well. And then on the 850 plus on Twitter, make sure you guys hit that follow button. We appreciate you. And we appreciate Heavy on Jets for supporting this show every single day. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Thanks to my father for popping on, as always. And we'll be back tomorrow morning, bright and early, for Boy Green Daily. Take care, everybody. God bless.
Stay classy.